Lena had never been picky about where she lived. As long as it had a door she could lock and enough hot water to shower, she could make it work. So when she found an ad for a basement room above a bakery, cheap rent, all utilities included, landlord who didn't ask questions, it felt like a small miracle. The building was old, painfully old. It had more stories than tenants, sagging cornices, a hallway that always smelled faintly of stale cinnamon, and a staircase that groaned under your feet like an exhausted sigh. But Lena told herself she could sleep through anything. She was tired enough to believe it. The first week was perfectly normal. She learned the rhythm of the delivery van backing into the alley each morning. She knew exactly when the baker would leave a fresh loaf cooling on the windowsill, and she memorized the warm amber color of the morning light spilling through her thin curtains. She also learned the noises the building made at night, the soft groan of old pipes, the subtle pops and cracks of wooden beams shifting as the place settled into the dark. These were harmless sounds, predictable sounds, until the 8th night, when she heard the footsteps. They started as faint thumps directly above her ceiling, slow, measured, like someone pacing. She froze mid-sip of tea, her ears straining. Downstairs, the bakery radio hummed faintly through the floorboards. The building breathed around her, but the steps didn't stop. They kept perfect time, 3 beats. A pause, 3 beats again. She knocked on the ceiling. It seemed like the only logical thing to do. No response. She knocked again, harder, until her knuckles stung and the sound echoed in her chest like a second heartbeat. And then, from somewhere above, came a voice. Thin, breathless, and not entirely human. Stop. It wasn't a voice she recognized. It was too quiet, too calm, too patient, the kind of patience you only hear in things that have been waiting a very, very long time. She called her landlord the next morning. Old building, settling, he said. He promised to check. He never did. The footsteps became a nightly ritual. Every night, the same hour, the same slow circuit above her head. They would pause directly over her bed, as if measuring her, then drift away again. One night, they traced the outline of her body, careful, deliberate, like a hand checking to see if the thing underneath was still alive. On the 14th night, Lena decided she would stay awake and wait. She sat under the yellow glow of her thrift store lamp with tea gone cold and a notebook full of grocery lists. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the steps began. She followed them with her eyes, tracking each slow pace. Then, silence. The voice came again, closer now, as if it were in the room with her. Don't look. Every bone in her body told her to do the opposite. The voice was almost pleading, but with something in it, something that made her skin crawl. The next morning, Lena found a note. It was folded into a small square and tucked beneath the stair rail outside her door. The handwriting was shaky, like whoever wrote it had trouble holding the pen. It read, 3 doors. Do not open the middle. She laughed out loud. It was ridiculous. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe it was some weird tradition among the tenants. Still, she couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, she heard a key scrape in the hall door. The footsteps moved down the corridor toward 3 doors she had never paid attention to before. A paint-peeled closet on the left, a tarnished brass knob on the right, and a plain, unmarked middle door. The steps stopped there. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats. Please, the voice said. Small, broken, and tired. Lena reached out and turned the handle. She opened the middle door. The room inside smelled of dust and old ink. It was almost empty, a single wooden chair and a cracked mirror propped against the wall. She stepped inside. The chair creaked. Her reflection in the mirror leaned toward her, eyes wide with alarm she didn't feel yet. And behind her reflection, the room didn't match reality. It stretched impossibly far, lit by dim bulbs. There were toys scattered across the floor, and on the far wall, a child painting of 3 doors. The middle door in the painting was painted black. Her reflected self didn't move with her. And then, a small, ragged hand pressed flat against the glass from the other side. The reflection mouthed a single word. Open. She slammed the mirror with both hands. The frame cracked like ice underfoot. The strange room in the reflection was gone, replaced by her own image in the empty chair. The footsteps stopped. Lena stumbled back to her bed and waited for dawn. When the landlady knocked that morning with a tray of stale scones and 2 cups of tea and asked if she'd slept, Lena lied. She said yes. After that, the voice never came again. The middle door stayed closed. Months later, the building was sold. New tenants moved in. Lena moved out, carrying only the crumpled note and a faint, stubborn imprint of a small hand on her palm, one that no amount of soap could wash away. Years later, in unfamiliar hotel rooms, she would sometimes wake in the middle of the night to the faint sound of 3 soft steps above her bed, and in the corner of her mind, there would always be that mirror she hadn't fully broken. A child painting with a middle door painted black, and a patient, waiting voice. Open. She never learned whether the voice wanted to be freed or kept behind that middle door. She only knew one thing: houses keep what they're given. And sometimes, when you stop listening, the listening keeps you. Thanks for listening, and if you ever find a note tucked under a stair rail, maybe fold it the other way. Don't give the house what it wants.